Hello, 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 beautiful unicorns. Welcome back to our weekly live podcast called Heal the Unicorn, which we live stream into our Facebook group called Heal the Unicorn Emotional Healing and Spiritual Growth for Women. So, if you're looking for a community that is full of women like yourself that are healing and growing spiritually, then come and check out our group and see if it's a place that you can call home that can help you during this part of your journey and perhaps even ongoing for the rest of your life. But no commitment required. So just come and check it out. And as always, your loyal hosts, Anna Angelova.
Hey, Yana, and hey, everyone. My name is Anna Angelova. I'm an energy leadership coach with Empath Unicorn Academy, where we help women create an abundant life for themselves and the people they love. And I'm a co host of this awesome podcast. And as usual, happy to be here on this cold Wednesday day.
Yeah, I hear it's cold. I haven't been out yet. Just let the kids go to school. Like,
I
nope.
have 3 layers of socks.
Well, I got one layer, but I always have my nice warm blanket here with me. Um, so welcome to our world. My name is Yana Kasperczak, and I'm your certified professional performance and spiritual awakening core energy coach. And it has been my soul's purpose to help women, to help you get your shit together so you can break free from that mental prison you find yourself in and build a life, business, and or career that you are obsessed with. And today, the topic that we have for you is we want to talk about the role of curiosity in spiritual exploration. The way I would start this off is based on my own personal experience, is that the role of curiosity is one of the biggest roles in spiritual exploration and the spiritual growth. Um, and it's the one that we are often avoiding, that we are also scared of because we have been taught to not stick our nose in that, not go in the big scary cave. Don't climb the tree, Yana. Don't go to places where you're not supposed to. Oh, by the way, there's a lake and there's a river over there, Yana, but don't go there because a lot of kids have gotten there and they have died. I'm like, ooh, there's a lake and a river and they're connected? Yeah, I did not know that. So I'm gonna go and explore. And as a kid, I explored a lot of this different things. But as I begun growing up and maturing, all those fears that have been given to me and passed on to me unconsciously, such as don't go in the water, it's dangerous, you're gonna drown, a little bit of a current and you're goner, right? So that caused me to explore my curiosity less and less and less. And as it is part of the process of life, because the conditioning we receive when we are little, the programming that we receive when we're little, anything that is said to us, it goes into our subconscious unfiltered, absolutely unfiltered. It just goes in and it becomes the program. It's like you get a brand new computer. You're the techie person, and you can go deeper into this part. But when you get a computer, it doesn't come with that many programs, right? But a person that is putting some of these programs, whether it's Windows 10 or 11 or whatever Windows we're on now, right? Or maybe it's not Windows, maybe it's Doors. Who knows, right? So whatever programs are put in there, those are the default programs that for the most part you cannot change in a computer. As far as I'm aware, I'm not a programmer. I cannot go and change these programs on my computer, but I can update them. I have a notification to update my computer, which means that it goes to the next uh, default program that it has. And we human beings were the same way. We can't update and change all the programs at once. We go through these moments that we refer to as spiritual awakening, but we can also refer to them as they update to the system, to our computer. That you get that little notification. For me, it's an orange little button. It's not red, but it's orange. It's an orange little button or a circle dot right there. It's so tiny that I didn't notice it until my daughter pointed it out to me. I'm like, oh, my computer's outdated. That's it. I have to get a new one. My 15-year-old goes, see right there? That's telling you need to update your system. And I'm just like, everyone is our teacher, right? And everyone is a teacher and everyone is a student. So when we go through spiritual awakening, through spiritual growth, exploration is part of it. We can um, contract, right? We can shut down or we can open up, and we can ignore this warning that the computer is telling us it's time for an upgrade, or all the systems are going to function slow, uh, or maybe won't function at all. Maybe your computer won't even be able to update afterwards. And with us, it's similar. When we're going through this spiritual awakening, many of us women, we we avoid that discomfort. We are scared of it and we don't want anything to do with it. Because I felt good yesterday, I don't want to feel like this today. I want to go to yesterday because I felt great yesterday. Instead of, okay, I'm going to do what it takes. And curiosity is part of that because you got to lean into that. You got to explore and figure out what is it that you got to do today. So tomorrow you can feel better than you did yesterday. Because the goal is not to feel the same way you did yesterday. Because yesterday is gone. It's history. It's the past. You can only learn from it. You can't relive it. You won't be able to relive it in the same way. So our job is to move forward. And this is what we do as coaches. This is the definition of coaching. We don't really look backwards. That's where therapy and psychiatry is, right? And then they keep you there in that loop. And this is where I watched this funny meme, let's call it. How many people have you cured? All the therapists and psychiatrists were asked. And they all chuckled and laughed and said, none, zero. Whereas we coaches, we're not here curing people. We're helping women, people, to be present in the present moment. Yeah, learn, look back, learn, understand, get curious about what you've been through. Don't get stuck there. And then bring it into the now. What are you learning now? And then move forward and update your system. So the longer that we resist exploring this curiosity when we are in the midst of spiritual awakening, the longer it will take for us to update our system. Because what's going to happen through this exploration is you're going to identify these default programs, these default messages that are coming up through you right now that is causing you to feel in that negative draining way. And the only way that is a long lasting way through the soul is through it. It's not avoidance. It's not procrastination. It's not pretending it doesn't exist, which is just another word for avoidance and procrastination. It's curiosity about what's going on, and then application, doing something about it. So this is where I would start. Anna, let us know what came up for you and where would you start?
Um, I love that you mentioned like a few things. And last week we talked about the dark night of the soul, right?
Mhm.
That they're level one and two energy. And ultimately, at some point on the spiritual awakening journey, we get to a stage where we start exploring. And you mentioned like how otherwise we stay in fear, we stay in the
Yes.
default programming. And curiosity is an exploration. Like these are uh, two key things that help us get out of like those like levels one and two, right? From the dark night to the next stages. They help us realize that it's like, okay, there must be something else. There needs to be something else. There should be something else. It can't be that the world is not what it is, right? Like to just start, we were talking about questioning last week, right? That when you start questioning things, and here is where curiosity comes in, exploration comes in. Like once you start questioning, like it's time to explore, and like open exploration is what allows us to really like go deep and see what beliefs are serving us, what are the ones that are not serving us. Like you said, okay, so what
Mhm.
programs, default programs do I have that, okay, I want to get rid of them or I need to update them, whatever it is. And it's really like curiosity is really the key to stepping out of fear. Yes, fear is still here. And even as we step out of fear, even if as we step into level 3 energy, like there is still fear, right? There's still fear, but we're stepping out of it. Like it's not holding us hostage anymore. We're starting to take responsibility and saying, you know what, fuck everyone and everything else. Let's explore. Let's see what's out there, and continue with my own journey, right? And one thing that alongside with fear that you also mentioned with our default programming and staying in our comfort zone in a way, it's the fact that the way that we humans are designed in a way, it's like we love certainty. Like, and this is one of the things that like when we're talking about this stage of the journey where like we're just getting out of levels 1 and 2, we're just getting out of the dark night, and like, there's still fear, there's still the desire to stay with the known, stay with what's there, with what has been, and not explore, not try different things. And then on the other side, like you have discovery, like questioning what's going on. And ultimately, like when you think about questioning itself, like it's a superpower, like it's a spiritual superpower. And it's really like with curiosity and exploration, it is the step that really helps you start getting out of the dark night, start getting out of levels 1 and 2, because you are ultimately not just asking the questions, but you're starting to really listen to these questions and say, oh, okay, so I have this question. What does it mean? What's the answer? Like we were talking about finding the answers last week as well, touched upon this one a little bit. So really, it's at this level, like, you're just tapping into curiosity, right? Like you're just tapping into curiosity, into exploration, and it's okay to feel um, a little bit scared of the unknown, of what's coming up, of what's the journey ahead. Uh, but as you are going, like this is the thing with the 7 levels of energy, with the spiritual journey in general. Like with every single step on this path, we are releasing fear and we're releasing judgment, and we're getting closer to openness, to joy and love, and like it's a beautiful journey. It's a beautiful journey, and once you really tap into the curiosity, into this mindset of spiritual growth, that the dark night is not everything there is. There's something else. Once you allow those questions to come up to the surface and start really exploring them, um, like you're ready to get it to the next stage of the journey. You're ready to get to the anabolic world, to the world where like you explore, you start integrating things and move up and up until you live in oneness. But today, I know today is more about curiosity, like exploration and curiosity. And the thing is that, like with everything else, it doesn't have to start. Like you don't have to explore everything at the same time. You don't have to do like change your life entirely. Like, okay, today this is it. Like up to yesterday, I was one person. Now suddenly I'm a completely different person. No, like curiosity and exploration. These are small steps. Like as with everything, like we take small steps every single day. Like it's a small step. It's exploring, being open and exploring. And when you think about spirituality, like one of the things actually, one of my favorite things here with the unconventional wisdom is that spirituality is not limited to anything or to any, not limited to anything. What was it? We'll be able to find it quickly. Yeah, spirituality is not limited in any way or to anything. So, and I love this. I love this. And this one says that the drunken man in the alley is just as spiritual as the most holy saint, because we are all ultimately all spiritual beings. And exploring this spirituality through whatever lens we want, like it's our own path and our own choosing. And Yana, you were saying how we grow up with programming and certain things, whether they are our parents realize and society realizes or not what they're doing. But one of the things that um, I don't want to touch too much on it, but like one of the things in terms of spirituality, I know a lot of people um, confuse spirituality and religion. But one of the things is that a lot of us, once we are born into a religion, right? And we get those whatever spiritual practices are within this religion. But as we continue with our own journey, this is the beauty of life, that we have a choice to explore, to see what's going on, to see what's there, and even pick and choose. And this is really the beauty of reaching the exploration stage, where like you can approach with curiosity and open-mindedness. You can approach and say, oh, let me see this thing, meditation. What is it? How does it work? And it's like, okay, you try it, you don't like it, okay, there are other spiritual practices and things out there that you can explore. And this is like, I've heard of people who have tried meditation millions of times and they don't like it. It's doing nothing for them. And staying, like, it's really important on this journey to stay open-minded and non-judgmental towards yourself and the practices, because like a practice like meditation can work for someone but doesn't work for you, which is perfectly okay. But then you might uh, love other spiritual practices. Like you might be, let's say, like journaling might be something that's helping you, or certain like with crystals and things like this, like in your environment, like you might be feeling better, higher vibrations with this in your environment, while others are like, oh, this does nothing for me, right? So I find that one of the beautiful things is that like you don't have to follow what everyone else is doing, and you get to write your own story. You get to choose your own um, tools for your tool belt, your own programs for your computer, whatever you decide. And the exploration part is actually one of the I personally think it's one of the coolest parts, because like you're stepping out of the dark night. You're actually starting to say, okay, let's see what works for me. And this is a place where it's like, okay, like it's just about me. Like, let me see what works for me. Like, if it doesn't work for you, I don't really care. Like, you find your own path. Let me see what works for me. And this is like a necessary step. Like, it's necessary for our own evolution, for our own journey and growth. And I really love, like, because it's also a step where we kind of take responsibility for ourselves. Like we say, okay, enough is enough. Enough with the dark night. Enough with those those catabolic and destructive energies, right? Like it's time for me to take control, to take responsibility, and step into my power. And doing this with curiosity, with testing and seeing, and doing like taking those small steps, like trying one thing, seeing how it works. If it works, awesome. If it doesn't, okay, go to the next one. It's really like one of those. Um, I'm not saying that the next part is not cool. Like it's cool when you have your own, like when you find your practices, when you step into like the integration and the oneness. Like it's a different experience, part of the journey. But that exploration part, where you get to test things and see It's like, oh, is this one for me? Let me try it. It can be one of the coolest ones. Like, and kind of, Yana, I love what you said that in a way it brings back to our childhood when we were trying and testing and seeing what life is like. What will happen if I do this? What will happen if I do that?
Making sure testing our survival skills.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
Yeah, testing our limitations and breaking through fear that we didn't even believe in. You know, I bet each and every one of you can remember a moment in time when you didn't believe fear was a real thing. Like I remember, to me, fear did not exist. And and at the same time, this is where the intelligence stepped in, meaning that if my mom was listening to this, this will be the first time she's hearing this. Um, or my sister, don't tell mom. But if I didn't have the logic, and because the fear wasn't there, and if I didn't have the logic, so uh, I'm originally from Russia. Some of you might not know this, and if you don't, now you do. I was 13 when I came here to Canada, so this was quite a few years ago. And I lived on the seventh floor in an apartment. And I haven't lived in the building here in Canada, so I don't know if the buildings are built in the same way, but there was 9 floors, and the 10th floor was what I would refer to as the attic. As you know, there was a metal gate there that I was small enough to squeeze through the bars. They didn't consider me when they when they installed those things. So I would squeeze through the bars and explore that whole area, which was the attic, where this is where the pigeons lived, some rodents lived, but primarily it was birds and pigeons because it was so high up, right? And and then you can go higher to the roof. And I would go to the roof. Some of my other friends, I can't remember if I opened the door for them or if they were able to squeeze in as well. But long story short, I remember walking at the edge of the roof all the way around. And I wasn't scared, but I was intelligent enough to know that I would not survive the fall. Right? So it's not that, it's kind of like understanding that the fear itself doesn't exist, and yet it does to us now because we know and understand the consequences of certain actions and behaviors, which is where the logic is. And the fear itself can be reasoned with. So is it fair to say that the fear itself is the logic itself and not the fear? Where we are logical enough, and yet in some instances, maybe not logical enough because we're not spending time sitting with that fear that is requiring some logic, which is part of curiosity, right? So, and then you were talking about, because I like how you brought in spiritual practices. Because when it comes to spiritual practices, I know I'll use my dear husband since I'm just on the bandwagon today. I'm bringing in my family, sharing things that I probably shouldn't be saying out loud. Okay, so when it comes to my amazing husband, when I refer to as a hippie, and he sees me as this ground kissing, tree hugging, crystal loving, candle burning, card reading hippie. And this is his understanding of spirituality, where in reality, like you were saying, even like anyone can be as spiritual and practice spirituality. So, for example, with you, Anna, you might not think that you're practicing spirituality, but based on how well I know you and the things that you do, from what I can tell, when you read books, You are practicing spirituality because you're tapping in and connecting to your true, most authentic self. You become an open channel. You connect to the universe, to existence, to oneness. You feel calm and zen, right? That's a spiritual practice that
Yeah,
not
and
everybody
that's
will
so
want to
true.
practice.
Yeah, that's so true actually. Like it's really true, and I love the example because like it shows that. Uh, and again, like really love the teachings from IPAC, and one of the things like we're all spiritual beings, and ultimately, speaking of logic, like logically, it means that everything we do is actually spiritual in nature,
Hmm.
and it, which is true, like which is true. Now, does everything we do connect us with, like you said, with the universe and like the opens those channels? No, definitely no. But everything we do is a spiritual experience, and some experiences allow us to go deeper and tap into like into that universal energy and flow, and other experiences keep us at like levels 1 and 2. So this is the thing, like I know we've mentioned this before as well, but like you can do the same thing, like the same action, you can take the same action, but based on the intention behind it, it would have different results. And the 7 levels of energy show us 7 different ways to look at the world. The same thing, we can do it in 7 different ways. We can come from fear, we can come from anger, we can come from like taking responsibility, compassion, um, we can come from empowerment, joy, pure love, right? Like it can be any of these. And like you said, for me, reading books, and I love this um, realization that you're helping me right now to have, that for me reading books is a way to tap into like level 6 and level 7 energy.
Hmm.
And that's why like it can be anything. Cooking, like I know we don't cook, both of us, we don't cook, our men cook, so
I
you
I
know.
do a little bit. I do cook recently quite a bit because my husband works later, and I want him to also
Yeah.
have a nice warm meal and feel loved and taken care of. But primarily, he has been the one that has taken over that role of cooking.
Yeah, and for Joris, actually, this is a way of meditation. Like for he loves it. Like he's in his element when he's cooking, and for him, this is probably a spiritual experience. And and when we talk about spiritual experience, it's like tapping into those higher energetic levels, right?
Yeah,
Not staying in levels 1 or 2. So I love what you're saying, and it really opens the door to think of uh, spiritual practices and exploration, not just through the lens of like, oh, yoga and meditation and journaling and things like this. Anything and everything we do can be a channel to tap into flow and oneness.
yeah,
So really love it. And yeah,
yeah. It's like the tapping into the flow of creativity and the flow of creation itself, right? And creativity is in level 6, creation is in level 7, because you're creating in level 6 and you are a creator in level 7. One is still a bit more of the doing, and level 7 is more of the being. You're not going to be doing very much from level 7 because this is where oneness is as well. And whatever brings you into that space, it's going to be different for everyone. Some of you might be drawing, it might be doodling, it might be journaling, it might be listening to music, it might be dancing, it might be gardening, it might be decluttering and organizing, it might be sorting your little beads that you have for the jewelry that you one day hope you're gonna make. All right, maybe I don't know, cleaning out space, maybe vacuuming itself,
this
maybe
thing,
taking a
yeah,
bath.
yeah, it can be anything. It can be, and I love it. And I just wanted to bring one more thing, though. You just witnessed, listening, watching, whatever you're like, wherever you're watching this podcast or listening to this podcast. So you just witnessed the power of like having a coach, because like uh, when you have someone on the outside bring a little bit of a different perspective to you and tell you, well, reading is based on what I know about you, reading is a way that you connect with flow and it's this a spiritual practice for you. I'm like, yeah, like I hadn't really thought about it. So I just wanted to mention that the power, like the power of having a coach and working with a coach and having someone to reflect back things to you, like you just witnessed it like a few minutes ago.
Yeah, actually, that's a great point because, and this is where, like, you're right, this is the power of working with a coach because we as individuals, especially those of you who are healing and growing as a spirit, you might be sitting there and really struggling to find all the ways because it's not just one way, right? But all these different ways. Because I know for you, Anna, it's even more than just the books. I just wanted to point that one out because it's also even creating content for the business and all these different things. For me, it's creating the images, the art, the pictures, the videos, where I find myself in the zone and the flow, and this is where tapping into curiosity. But when we know the people that we are working with. And we get to know you pretty quickly because we give you the space to talk. And when you talk, we get to know you. When we talk, you get to know us, right? And this is what happens. This is the power and the beauty of conversation. And then as a coach, I or Anna can always reflect back on what we know about you and based on how you talk about certain things and certain actions and behaviors of you practicing spirituality, you being a level 6 and 7 where time doesn't, it exists in level 6 and level 7. You lose all track of time. There's no hunger, there's no dehydration, even though you probably are starving and dehydrated. But just not on level 7, level 6, you'll notice it. And and then you get to see yourself through the lens of someone else. And most of you, just like us as well, we live with normal human beings, right? And I call normal human beings everyone who's not a coach. um, and I laugh because I'm like, oh, my husband might hear this one day, but yes, he is a normal human being. He's a different type of a coach, quote unquote. So when our loved ones, where our friends and family, when they reflect on their observations of us, they do so because everybody does this. But there is a healthy way and there's an unhealthy way. And this is one thing that I have experienced firsthand working with a coach that reflects and, points out their observations and then human beings. Okay. And with the coach, it always feels clear and that it comes from a place of love. Um, Now, mind you, I'm talking about IPEC certified coaches. I'm not talking about all the coaches because not all the coaches, the coaching industry is not regulated. So there's a lot of self-made coaches who I have met women who have hired these coaches, and in the end, they felt worse about themselves and worse about their life. And it was to them, in their words, it was like basically like a shit show, right? And it did more damage than good. So that's why I always recommend vetting the person that you're going to be saying yes to. It's like a marriage. It's a union of two people coming together and for, the common goal for the greater good, right? You're the greater good. And then the regular person reflects to you and tells you all this is without saying based on my observations, they point out of everything that's wrong with you. And this is where like we can learn. And of course, on days when we don't feel like ourselves, it's harder to do it. Like when talking about, shadow work and the dark night of the soul, level 1, level 2. Sometimes, if someone reflects something to us, we can't put a silver lining on it because we're just stuck in that dark place. And then other times we can hear what a person is saying beyond the words that they're using. So I'll go back to the example of, my husband seeing me as a hippie, or and what that means, and my spiritual practices, and the crystal lover, and you and your sticks everywhere, Yana, and you and your wood, and you and your animals, right? To me, now I see it as a positive thing. Does he always mean it as a positive? I don't know. And honestly, I get to choose how I look at things. And and this is growth itself. Now, um, also when it comes to life itself, I know a lot of us we want to figure out what the meaning of life is. And we want to attach a purpose to it, and it is great. Purpose is necessary, but at the same time, the overall purpose of life, based on what I have been curious about and exploring for a great part of my life, is really about experiencing it. Um, it's it really is about experiencing life in its fullest and to its fullest. If you pause and you look at your life and look at yourself as you are in the movie, are you happy with the role that you're playing? Or what role would you like to play? Are you happy with the adventures that you undergo or take or not every single day? And if not happy with it, which ones would you like to? How can really what I'm trying to bring in into your focus is reminding you that everything is a choice, and how you are living your life. We think that we are limited and that we only have this and this and this and this at our disposal, or and everything that we can reach in front of us, everything that we can see, but the reality is so much greater than that. And everything is through experience itself. We can choose to look at this pen and be absolutely obsessed with this pen, or hate it, right? The black and white. Or we can have absolutely no emotional attachment to this pen because it's just a pen. And this is the experience itself. We often attach our emotions to we experience life through emotions, right? And often we attach negative emotions to negative experiences. But the negative experience itself is a perception. It is not necessarily the reality, even though your perception is reality. Your perception is your reality, to be exact. So how I perceive things will be my reality. And perception itself is, for the simplicity of the explanation of the word, is a belief. How you believe in something, or of something, how you think of something, and the belief itself can be changed, which means that if the belief can be changed, which means your perception can also be changed. And if you can change your perception, you can change your reality. So if you don't like your reality, that movie that you're living out, that you can change the movie. You can become the actress that you have always wanted to be, which means that the person that you have always wanted to be, but for some reason, or there's probably at least 1,000 different reasons why you weren't allowing yourself to, unconsciously, for all those 1,000 reasons why you weren't allowing yourself to be and become that person, that actress that you dream and desire of being, then if not now, then when? Right? We do have one life, which means one movie. And once the movie is over. So we get to choose our belief systems, our values, our perceptions, and which means we get to choose our reality. And our personality will also play a major role into our reality, which means start at the root, and you are the root. If you don't like the movie that you're playing, that is your life. That's where you begin the work. Get curious and explore yourself as the spiritual being, who you are. The why you are, you'll figure out, even though this is where many of us want to jump in and go, why am I here? Well, that's a great question, but first figure out who you are. And when you figure out who you are, why you are, and why you're here, and your purpose and the things that will fulfill you will come naturally to you without you having to figure that out. It's like you jumping into the deep end without even knowing how to swim at all. So figure out who you are and everything that makes up you. And then also with that part comes the things that you don't like about yourself and what you can do to change them as well. So I think that's pretty much all that I would add. And then also not a, practicing not attaching ourselves to the physical objects in this world or the expectations. Because one of my favorite quotes is expectations are premeditated disappointments. So, which means that when you're expecting something, you're getting ready for disappointment because subconsciously your programming dictates this is how I want things, but I know I'm not going to get it. So I'm just going to say what I want, but I'll get ready for disappointment because I'm not going to have it. So expect the unexpected. What else would you add, Anna, for today?
What else? I love that you mentioned like with the like how we see the things and like our perception of the world. And this is one of the things that when we step into curiosity and start exploring, um, like really tapping into curiosity and letting go of those past judgments.
Mm-hmm.
Really, like really tapping. And I love that we talked about the fact that a spiritual practice, it doesn't have to be meditation, it doesn't have to be journaling, it doesn't have to be visualization, like all these things that like, we generally talk about. A spiritual practice can be doing the laundry. Like this can be a spiritual practice where you take the time to really be present, like being present to be able to connect to your inner self and the universe. It can be something like this. And what's really, really, really key, and I really hope that everyone listening is getting this as, in a way, an aha moment, even that every single thing we do can be a spiritual practice that connects us
Mm-hmm.
if we are in the present moment and experiencing it this way, like doing the laundry, the dishes, vacuuming, like all those chores, they can be spiritual practices. Like
Mm-hmm.
don't limit yourself with all spiritual practices only praying or meditating or doing yoga or no. Every single thing we do can be and is a spiritual practice in a way. And one of the things also, as you're stepping into curiosity and exploration, as I said, let go of the past judgments, let go of because if you think it's impossible, then it's impossible. If you think that, oh, it's hard, then it's hard. Like, again, the intention really matters. Like, what intention you step into, like, what intentions you put behind your actions. It's not just about, oh, let me explore and test things. Because again, if you step with fear, explore with fear, guess what the result will be? If you explore with judgments and limitations or anger, guess what the result will be?
Hmm.
But then think about like the moments when you explore something like with real curiosity, and not just level 3 curiosity, like level 5 curiosity, when really you're really open to whatever it is. Like Yana, like you said, non attached to the results, you're not attached to the outcome. You just step into it with pure curiosity. Okay, let me see what happens. And whatever happens, like it's a learning. I'm testing and seeing. Uh, can I do the laundry in a way that helps me connect with the flow? Can I do the dishes? Can I include my family actually in this kind of practice where we do the dishes together and we have this kind of an experience where we are all joyful and so really thinking about like spirituality is not limited to certain things and certain places. It can be anything. Like it's really like the point that I want to drive home. And uh, when you step into curiosity and explore, like with open mind, no judgment, open mind, just see what it is.
Yeah. No, that's true, right? You're practicing maybe even the regular mundane things, but doing them in a different way and pausing and figuring out, um, tapping into curiosity of how you can do something a little differently. Even when it comes to, the programming that I talked about, the default programming or the conditioning that you received is another way of looking at it, or calling it, referring to it, is that we can use curiosity to disprove all these things, to rewrite those programs, because, from the moment that we are born, and actually it starts a little bit before we're actually born, it's almost like we've been handed this manual and more like shoved into our minds little by little every single day, all of these beliefs, all of these rules, all of these values, all of these truths, so to speak, about who we are and what life was like and how things should be, must be, have to be, or could be. And many of these beliefs, they aren't from, they're not even ours, right? Because they've been given to us by our family, by society, um, by even the previous generations, by you watching your shows, you reading the books. There's different things that we're learning from those experiences, because everything is an experience. Even the conversations that you're having with a friend, and let's say a friend shared one of their worries or concerns or fears with you, and you unconsciously memorized it and you remembered it. And then now you're going through a similar thing and you are living a life through somebody else's perception, through somebody else's experience. Meanwhile, it's not yours. And with curiosity, what you can do, you can simply, ask yourself questions that will help you to see yourself and meet yourself where you are, and then see where you can go. What if, question is, what if you're not broken, but just waking up, even though you feel broken and you feel shattered and you feel like this is the end? What if you're just waking up? What if this is just the beginning? Not of the same that came before, but of something greater, something bigger, something more amazing that you can't even imagine. And the universe is just preparing you for it all because you've been asking for it. And it's like, it's really, it's simple math. This is, universe is simple. We overcomplicate things because we're human beings. We're just, we love to overcomplicate things. We really do. Universe speaks in energy. Um, Thoughts, feelings, and emotions are energy. So if you think, feel, believe, and say that you don't have money, universe says, okay, she doesn't have money. Simple. It's not complicated. If you say, think, feel that you are going to earn money through this one income stream, usually it's a job. For most people, it's a job, 9 to 5 job. Then the universe says, okay, you will earn money through this one income stream. But if you think and believe and feel that it your income is unlimited, and where and how you earn money and receive money is unlimited, that it's infinite, then you're opening the door to all of those possibilities, and the universe says, fuck, now it's fun. Let me show you all these different ways of how you can earn money. And that the most challenging part of it all, because you can say, you can think, you can try to convince yourself, but the hardest part is the emotion, the actual feeling, without a doubt. It's more on the realm of knowing and not in the realm of believing. Because saying, thinking, and writing and convincing yourself is more in a realm of believing. But essentially, what the universe wants you to do is align with the ultimate language of knowing. Because right now, you're working 9 to 5, and you know, one income stream, that's all you got, that's all you're going to have. There you go. The universe give that to you. And when you start tapping into the other part, and this is where it's it can feel really hard and challenging, but one tool that will help you is your favorite spiritual practice, right? Reading, laundry, walking the dog, playing with your kids, cleaning, organizing, painting, drawing, exercising, honestly, anything, whatever it is that helps you to tap into the flow and feel whole, because you're already doing those things, right? And those are the things that will help you to bring you closer to it. Um, and I think the last thing I would mention is that, curiosity is in many ways it's growth itself, because you're you get curious about something, maybe something that you want to try and do, or maybe something that you already were doing. Maybe if it's even a hobby. You are opening up the door for growth, because spiritual exploration is not about having all the answers. No one has all the answers. I mean, that's a really big responsibility to have the answers, to feel or believe that you must have all the answers even before you begin something. It's really about being willing to ask better questions. It's not a yes or no questions. It's deep, thought-provoking, open-ended questions where every time you think or ask yourself that question, the answer would be different. And it wouldn't probably be the same answer. One great question would be, what else is possible for me? Right? If you answer that question once, you identify what's possible for you. But the universe knows what else is possible. Usually it's ahead of you, right? So, and the next time you answer that question of what else is possible for me, the answer will be different, because you already identify what's possible for you. By identifying it, it became in the field of your perception. You became aware of what's possible for you, because prior to that, you probably never asked yourself that question and you weren't aware. Now of what was possible for you. And now it's in the field of your awareness of what's possible for you. Next time it's going to be something different because you're not going to be mentioning the same things because you're already aware of those things, unless you're avoiding doing the work, right? um, and then this part is might be helpful when you're, in the shadows in the dark and dark night of the soul is asking yourself, what part of myself have I been ignoring? Because you're ignoring a part of yourself, and this is why you feel the way that you do. And when you identify what part of yourself you have been ignoring, you can address it. You can do something about it. Honestly, one of the primary or the biggest reasons or the biggest parts of ourselves that we are ignoring is that hurt inner child. And once you identify what she wants, it becomes easy. Maybe she just wants a lollipop, and you give her the lollipop. Yeah, too easy, right? No, maybe she wants something else. Um, and then the last question, and feel free to answer these questions in the comments as well. These are thought-provoking, deep dive type of questions that some of you might not be able to answer right away or feel ready to answer because it just feels like, based on my experience, to me, it felt like by me answering those questions, I'm going to get closer to knowing who I truly am and I'm going to feel good. And unconsciously, I did not believe I was deserving of feeling good. And if that's where you are, that's okay as well. But I'm still going to challenge you and ask you, just answer one of these questions. So the last question is, what am I truly capable of if I stop doubting myself? That can really help you to see quite a few things. Why or how you're doubting yourself, and what are you really stopping yourself from achieving and reaching? Because you know you're capable of it, and you're not letting yourself. And honestly, I think that's pretty much it that I can think of, in addition to everything we already talked about. Um, so now that we're at the end of our podcast today, Anna, any last parting thoughts?
I love that you mentioned like money and this kind of like the streams like for income and things like this, because curiously next week our topic is all about financial abundance. So join us in 1 week to talk about financial abundance. I know this is something that we all want and something that we all strive for. So leaving you with a little bit of a like what you see in the next episode.
Yeah. Coming next, right? That's a great way to wrap it up. So thank you, everybody for joining us live, watching the replay. Welcome to all the new members. Hope you enjoy it here. And if you don't, let us know so we can see how we can improve this community, that it helps and supports each and every one of you and meets you where you are and helps you to get a little push or shove forward on where you want to be as well. So thank you to everyone. Thank you, Anna, as well. And we'll see you all next week at 1:45 p.m. Eastern Time for Money Talk. I'll just,
Yep.
summarize the topic. Money Talk or Money Talks, right? So thank you, everybody, and have an amazing
Thank you,
rest of your
everyone.
day. We'll see each other next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.